Hey everyone, good evening. Welcome to Getting Back to Zero. Thursday night. Got a guest tonight that's gonna, I think, bring a lot to the table. I believe this person. I was introduced to Kevin on by some people on the Instagram site, 1,000 Hours Dry, and I guess he goes by the name Sober Ginger. And once I had my kids show me how to get on Instagram, I know Grandpa shows his face again. But anyways, got this going. I know Kevin is very involved with recovery, somewhat, I believe himself, but also very involved with some alcohol-free living. So this is going to be a little hodgepodge of topics tonight. But I want to hear the story. Supposedly, he is the Instagram sensation, the Sober Ginger. Now, I was the red. They called me red as a kid. My hair now is gray, but I was the red hair. I don't know where Sober Ginger.
I'm getting that.
Yeah, well, I used to. But and then no, I didn't just drink a bunch of milk either. But the Sober 1,000 Hours Dry, I want to hear what that is and whatnot. But welcome to Getting Back to Zero. Kids, it's Kevin Bellack. Is that how you pronounce it? Bellack?
Yeah, Bellack, yep.
Okay. Well, how did you come to be with this whole thing?
With 1,000 Hours Dry?
Well, just let's even start before that. What is your journey? You look like a young man, but what's your journey with alcohol, and how did you end up with a shirt that says the Dry Club on?
Well, one day back in 1979, no.
Yeah.
So I pretty much started my drinking career back in college. I didn't really drink much before that, except actually on a recruiting visit to college, coincidentally. But that's where I had my normal.
Paint the picture, Kevin. Where'd you go to school?
I went to Case Western in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
And I'm from Pennsylvania originally. And so a little bit away from home, about 4 hours, a little freedom, in a fraternity, played football for 2 years, and, just kind of did the whole binge drinking deal 4 years of college. And, nothing out of the ordinary, I guess, as far as that's concerned. And kind of continued that into, I'm an accountant. So by trade, and once I graduated, I started a public accounting firm, and it was very much kind of the same type of drinking culture almost. There's a lot of deadlines. We're really busy, but there's a lot of happy hours, a lot of deadline parties, and or end of busy season parties, and just weekend drinking, and that just kind of continued for me. It was always social, with people.
I got to think, as an accountant, when tax day is over, when the last one is filed under that gun, that's got to be one hell of a party.
Yeah, April 15th was the big party of the year. Sometimes in the fall for extensions, but April 15th, yeah, usually that ended in a blackout. Yeah, I mean, those were big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely off a couple of days.
Too. Probably
yeah,
expected ones. You were
that's even worse
to be there.
Yeah. And then you have all that stress leading up to it. You're working 80, 90, sometimes 100 hours a week leading up to it, and you're still drinking little pockets of time throughout there on the nights. But yeah, when you have that expectation that you're just gonna get blasted, that's obviously not a good kind of recipe there for I don't know, being coherent at the end of the night.
Yeah.
But shortly after that, I got married at I was 24. Had our one and only daughter at the age of 27, and at that time, I switched jobs into a corporate job, so a little bit less stress, a little bit more stable working time, and new house, new kid, new job, and everything kind of just calmed down a little bit. I was still social binge drinking a little bit on the weekends, but it wasn't, you kind of settle down then whenever that. And after that, into my 30s, just got, started getting a little bit more involved in the company, started getting a little bit more responsibility. And then by the time I was, by the time 2015 rolled around, we had a big project going on, and I was kind of at the front of that, and it was just working all the time. And at that point, my social weekend drinking became, a beer every night when I got home from work. And, it just kind of crept in everywhere. But then when that happened, it's like, okay, well, I'm stressed out to the max now. I'm working a ton of hours again. And that's when, alcohol started, kind of creeping in more outside of the social realm. And it was just like, at night I'd finish up work and I'd just, start drinking, and then 2 a.m, pass out on the couch, wake up at 5 a.m. on the couch, go to bed. And that kind of trend continued over the next.
Those couches too.
Yeah. I still have it down there, and it's seen a lot.
Yeah. It's one of the, don't want to hear the stories from that one.
Yeah. But 2016, we finished up the project, but then we had to implement the project. And it was just like one thing after another. Our company got bought after that. And so 2018 was when, I started really, my weight was increasing, my blood pressure was increasing, my stress was just through the roof. And it became, my mental health started, I just knew it was declining. And
was it because of an increase in drinking, or was it just the same amount of drinking, but just the added stress that was making the combination that much worse?
I think it was definitely the increase in drinking. I don't, it's not like I blame work, work is work. I just feel I didn't have like the proper tools to handle that, or I didn't seek out the proper things to do to relieve that stress other than with alcohol. It was just the easy thing until it wasn't, right?
You gotta blame work though, because it's never our fault. It's always
exactly
someone else's fault, something else's fault.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why, I drank. It was not me that chose to do it.
No, yeah. Looking back on it, I can say what I just said, but at the time, yes, it was definitely like, I need this because of work.
Yeah.
Like, it was definitely work's fault that I was drinking, or that was the excuse. I'm stressed out and this helps. But then, I get blood work done and in 2018, and, my liver enzymes are up, and I get, an ultrasound, and, you get diagnosed, he's like fatty liver. I'm like, well, I'm not really that surprised about that. And then it's just, but over the course of 2018, like I said, I just started getting more, it's just a little darker in my head, little less able to cope, a little more stressed than usual. And I was then started looking for a way to fix it. I started looking, I tried Sober October, made it 4 days, and that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Made it 4 days, drank on the weekend, and I was like, well, I guess I might as well just keep drinking because the month's over, right? It doesn't.
Yeah. You can't start in the middle.
No.
You can't quit on a Wednesday.
Nope.
Gotta wait till Monday.
And you always have to start on a Monday, yeah. Whatever that is. But back then it was like, now I know a lot more. Back then it was like, I'm an alcoholic or I'm not. And I don't feel like an alcoholic. I don't know what that feels like. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know any alcoholics, even though I did, might have or did or whatever. I don't know anybody that goes to AA. I don't know, so I'm like, what am I going to do? So I started looking at AA because that was the only thing that I knew that was out there. And it just didn't jive with my brain or the way I went about things and how
just out of curiosity, was it you hear the religious thing a lot, and I'm always curious because I'm an AAer, but some of the traditions we read a lot of the same thing over and over, and that I understand the reasoning for it, but that's just I'm just being honest with you. I struggle a little bit, but that's more for the newer people. I understand the reasoning, but I want to get into the meat of things more. So what were some of the concerns
and obviously, I didn't read the big book. I didn't go to a meeting. So, take this at face value because that's what I was doing at the time. I was looking at face value. I read the steps. I read some things online. I'm not powerless against this. Like I can do this. looking back on it, I can sit here and say like, no, I was kind of powerless against it. I wasn't able to change until I did. And then, yeah, the higher power, giving it up to higher power. That was, I grew up Catholic, and that's how I was raised, and that's how, my daughter goes to Catholic school, but I'm not one to pray or, because I just feel like it's just a wish. I like to do gratitude and affirmations and journal and do those kind of things. I feel like those are type of meditation. Like those are all types of prayers, but that's more inward and thinking like that. Giving myself up to something greater than me and hoping God like cures me of this. That's how I saw it back then. And I was like, well, that's not something I'm going to get behind. And that was my big thing. So
what was your next, what was the alternative to that? Because I think I was like you. I mean, AA, it was either AA or you were destined to, there was nothing else.
Well, so I started like reading some books and doing things. I listened to, I kind of attribute like one or two things to making that little flipping the switch in my head. One of them was, I've said before, is like Russell Brand's Recovery, his book. Because I was like, that was my last ditch effort to be like, okay, well, he takes AA, which he loves, and he kind of rebrands it into his own little new, new spin on it. I'm like, I like him. Maybe I can get behind this. And it started out good, but then I was like, yeah, no, this is still not something I'm comfortable with. But the one thing that he said was, one of the steps that he kind of reframed was, he said, are you on your own? Are you are you on your own going to unfuck yourself? And as soon as I heard that, it was like, nope, I'm not. Like, I've tried it. Like, look at October, look at every other time I tried. I need help. I need to reach out to somebody. So the other thing was that I was thinking was therapy. But again, I don't know anybody in therapy. Like, I don't know where to go for that. And so I started searching online, just like I searched online for AA, and I started seeing like, oh, well, there's these online, therapy things. Like, so I ended up going with BetterHelp. But I got to the point it was January 2019. What I call my rock bottom moment, which, it wasn't, some car in a ditch, type of, it was me sitting on my couch on a Tuesday. That Monday night, I got a bottle of whiskey, a liter of whiskey, and I drank half of it. I worked and then I relaxed. And then the next night, I opened a bottle of wine because I'm like, well, if I go with the whiskey, I'm going to drink the rest of the whiskey. So I opened a bottle of wine and drank that. And then I proceeded to drink the rest of the whiskey. And that's kind of when I poured that last bit out, was kind of when I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I kind of just broke down. And that's the night I signed up for BetterHelp. I'm like, screw it. I'm just doing it. I signed up with a therapist, and I'm still meeting with her.
Did you tell anyone?
So I didn't tell anybody. That was Tuesday. Wednesday, I don't think I drank. Thursday, I don't think I drank. And Friday, I was actually sitting right here, and the desk was over there at the time, and my wife was sitting there, and I was sitting here with the whiskey because I needed liquid courage to tell her this. Admit no, it wasn't even that. It was like, well, it kind of was, but
I
need help. I remember I sat here for 20 minutes and she talked about something which I heard none of, because I was just sitting here thinking, I'm like, how am I going to say this? And I just basically said, like, what would you think if, I got a therapist? And to now, I laugh now because it's like comical to me, because I'm like, well, I encourage everybody to get a therapist.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it could help everybody.
Was she pushing you for?
No. It was kind of like the frog that's, sorry for any vegetarians or vegans or whatever, but how you cook a frog, you put it in the boiling pot, or you put it in warm water, and then you start boiling it, and it doesn't realize it's being boiled alive. Yeah, like you don't notice it we've been together since high school. So it's like always, and she doesn't drink. So it's kind of always just been that way.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't nothing. There was stupid shit I did over the years, but nothing like really, if I got a DUI, that would have,
Mm-hmm.
made her be like, all right, that's it. But nothing really happened over the years to kind of push her to that. She would make comments occasionally, but I was kind of a normal, I want to say normal. I was kind of a fun drunk, I'll say. I wasn't obnoxious. I wasn't, I probably annoyed her. I know I annoyed her, but it wasn't like I was doing stupid shit all the time.
I was same way. I had people still to this day that had no idea that I never saw an issue. My kids will say that they never remember I wasn't the stumbling fall down, which is amazing to me because I was literally at least bare minimum, and I'm not exaggerating, bare minimum 24 a day beers, and much more on the weekends. And that was starting to climb, but that was bare minimum 364 days a year. I'll give myself 1 day a year for being sick, and that was it. And but it was, my thing was the lying, the hiding, the sneaking. And it was a lot of my decision was my own decision, not someone else's.
Okay.
And I hid it from a lot of people. There's still a lot of people that don't know a lot of the things. I just saw myself. I took that turn. I was going downhill fast, and it hadn't hit the fan, but it was about to hit the fan any moment.
Yeah. I was playing with house money. I mean, it was. I'm shocked and I'm happy to this day that nothing happened. But there was plenty of times when I'm like, okay, should have went a lot more south than it did.
You know what? I want to get on to what you're doing. That was the whole reason we got you on here. But two things that of interest, because I always wonder if, because I didn't have the DUI, crash the car, lose the family moments, that rock bottom, my rock bottom wasn't that bad. So I fear that, because I don't have the, oh my God, I'm done. That was just catastrophic. I've got, it was bad. So I had to stop. It was bad, but it wasn't, it was going to get bad. But were
you bad enough?
Was I bad enough to make this thing work? And I've heard people, you know what, you never got a DUI. I had a guy say this: you never got a DUI, you'll be back. You're not done until you get a DUI. You're not done. And that really bothered me, because it was like, no, I have to be done. It scared me. And the other one was I just started laughing when you said this, because I just heard, party, let's go, when the doctor said, no, your fatty liver was fine. You don't have any issues with your liver.
Well, no, he said I had fatty liver.
Oh, did he? Okay, because I was told I had nothing, and it was like, well, then I'm good to go.
Yeah, if he didn't tell me that, then I don't know, we wouldn't be probably talking here today. Maybe in 2 or 3 years we would be.
So that was I probably would have a longer stint of sobriety if I had heard those kind of things.
Yeah. And it's not only, and it wasn't just the fact that he's like, oh, you have fatty liver. I'm like, okay, for the amount I've drank over the years, and especially these past couple of years, it's not surprising. It's the fact that I woke up in the morning and it's not my liver that hurt. I learned that from Jill. It gets inflamed and it pushes against all your other organs, and it hurts. But
this is the freeze moment with the anticipation.
Drinker necessarily.
Oh, there you go. You froze up for a second. So you said it was pushing on, but it wasn't necessarily. And then we were ready for that key moment, and you froze. Hopefully,
we're back.
Keep going. You jumped a little bit there, but go ahead.
Because I wasn't like an everyday drinker necessarily, because I made myself like, it's Wednesday. You just drink the best 4 days, like take a break.
Sorry about that. We lost you for just quick. So you were just talking about so the liver damage. You were pushing and wanted to start crying when every time you hit the right spot. Correct?
Yeah, it was sensitive. Let's just say that. I mean,
Okay.
I felt it in the morning, and yeah, it was definitely. Each morning was a reminder why I needed to quit, and each night I just kept doing the same thing. So it definitely got to the point where that, like I said, that one night where I kind of just said enough was enough. I got help. I reached out and got help. And that was the big thing for me, was making that change. So that Friday night when I told my wife, I drank, and then I didn't drink for another like 60 days. So working with my therapist, and really just, she's giving me tools. She's, helping. She was there. And the nice thing was it was in, it's an app. So it was online. We had like a weekly meeting. But
what is I'm going to put this real quick. What is, I'm going to create I'm going to run this across. What is the app called?
It's BetterHelp.
BetterHelp?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just going to put, not Natter. Sorry. I just want people to be able to see this thing so they can get onto it. I know this is a lousy one, but we'll just run it across. So app is BetterHelp. Is that'll work?
Yep.
Okay.
That works.
So anyways, all right. So that app, did that app give you a program to follow, or was it just,
it was therapy.
It was a therapy.
Yeah. So, I mean, she would give me, things as she thought I needed them. Worksheets to work on, books to read. And that was the other thing too, is like, in addition to that, like one of my big things was just like devouring information, reading books, listening to podcasts, all that stuff. I have about a half hour, 40-minute commute to work one way, and I would just listen to audiobooks and just plow through them. And that was huge for me. And then I would go and I would talk to her about it. Then she could, recommend things but really, like, to get through those cravings, it was like, I would go into the app and I would just write down what I was thinking, feeling, going through, and send it to her. So it's like basically texting her. Now I know she wasn't going to look at it right then. I know I wasn't expecting an immediate response right then, but it was the fact of just unloading it. And that's really how I started journaling too, which I'm a big proponent of, because that's basically what I was doing. I was going through and I was analyzing my emotions. I was analyzing why I wanted to drink right now, or why I felt a certain way. And that just carried on to, I kind of just did it. I have another journal app that has all my journal stuff in it, because I prefer digital versus like hard copy. But that's just me. And, I do it to this day.
I love what you're doing as far as analyzing, because that's so important. When I have, cravings are going to happen. And when they hit me, I versus denying them or pretending they're not there or just hoping they go away, because they're not going to. I take it as an opportunity, and trust me, I'm still trying to, this is a big, big learning curve. I want to know why. It's like, why, what am I looking for? Why am I craving that right now when my life is pretty good? And I keep, you know what? Even when life is good, you still want to go on a vacation now and then. So maybe that, why am I still looking from the vacation of the moment and wanting to get away to get that break? I want to know what is wrong, because if I don't at least get a chance, try to fix it, it's going to come back. And it's going to keep coming back until I learn from it and grow. So that analyzing is something I'm really working on.
Yeah.
Versus denying it is just, people that say, oh, no, I didn't think about it at all. No, that's a crock. I did think about it. It sounds good right now. And I want to know why at 8 a.m. I have no desire. And yet, at 5 o'clock, every bit of willpower I had, suddenly I can't find it. It's like, wait, where the hell were you? We had, all my friends, my willpower buddies We're right here. We had an army ready to handle this. Now I'm facing it alone. I can't find them all.
Yeah, they get picked off one by one. That's why you
Yeah.
can't rely on willpower, because, I mean, I think it's been proven like willpower is a finite resource. It's only going to last so long before it wears out. So yeah, I mean, I love that because, you know, I've heard that too. Like, get curious about it. Like, what just happened? Like, why do I want to drink all of a sudden? Like, you know, I'm like, oh, it's because my daughter pissed me off, or it's because I'm stressed from work, or it's because, you know, whatever. Because it's 5 o'clock. I heard ice hit the glass. You know, I'm just trying to think of all the things that I've gone through, like just those triggers. Like sometimes I open up a can of root beer and too hard or too fast, and you just hear that sound, and it's like, oh, wait.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, exactly. Muscle memory, mental muscle memory.
Yeah.
So, so how did 1,000 Hours Dry come about? How did this progress in your recovery?
Well, I think 1,000 Hours Dry was created in April of 2019 by Kayla Lyons, and she created it as a way to, promote an alcohol-free lifestyle, right? And promote the alcohol-free living and just giving information to people that wasn't based on a program of 12 steps of any kind of, anything like that. It just, you want to be alcohol free? Okay. Here's what you can do. Here's tools. Here's information. Here's what it does to you. Here's stories. And it's just 1,000 Hours Dry is just, a community of hosts that are just, whoever. Like, if you want to host, message me, and we probably have a page that you can host on right now. But I didn't get involved. I kind of got involved in it in that summer of 2019 by like, that was a thing that I found on my other, other personal Instagram page.
Right.
Which, I remember I did it in the summer. And then I just kind of followed it. And, eventually I created this account, The Sober Ginger, in August of that year. So I'm coming up on 2 years with this account.
Where'd the Sober Ginger come from?
Well, so my therapist actually, around this time, 2 years ago in July, I sent her a picture of a glorious looking beer and hamburger from my other Instagram page, because it's like one of those, 1 year ago today you were doing this, and I saw it and I was triggered by it. And that's what I did. I took pictures of the first drink of the night, and then I never took pictures of the 8th drink of the night or the 10th drink of the night or whatever. So her comment was, well, why don't you start taking better pictures now and start posting them so that next year you'll see these in your feed. So I'm like, that's a good idea. So I started this account, and I didn't open it up to anybody, I didn't follow anybody. Nobody followed me. I just went in and I posted 3 pictures a day. I posted my sober day. I posted my just a random picture I took, and I posted something I found on Instagram or the internet that was funny or whatever, made me laugh that day or something. So I posted 3 pictures a day. It was kind of like just part of my daily routine. And I called, I'm ginger. You might not tell with all the gray hair, but the beard is a little bit reddish, but I'm a redhead. So, something ginger. My old account was like salt and ginger because, I like to barbecue. And so I called it the Sober Ginger because I hated the word sober, because I didn't hate it. I was uncomfortable using it. So by calling myself that, I forced myself to get comfortable with it. It's kind of my take on it.
There's a lot of hang up on terms and labels.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, I don't call myself an alcoholic. If the question is, were you an alcoholic when you quit? Looking back on it, I can say, yes, I was. By all, normal meanings of the word, yes. But I don't consider myself an alcoholic now. And I think that's maybe a distinction that some people make.
My point is that I don't care what you call me.
Yep.
We can argue that all day long. I would probably say that, yes, I'm an alcoholic would be how I would say it, but it doesn't matter. Whatever label you put on it, that doesn't change one bit of what happens if I start drinking. It doesn't. You can call me a Martian. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I cannot drink like my wife can. So the label means nothing. Call me what you want. I prefer to call it my personal situation. That's what my situation is. I can't drink. So you can call me what you want. You can I don't care. It's not going to, if you call me a non-alcoholic versus an alcoholic, it's not going to change one bit of how I have to function tonight when we finish.
Yeah.
And how I have to function tomorrow. The label isn't going to change it. So I kind of go on those facts. But anyways, you hear a lot of people struggle with that, and that's fine.
Yeah. And my kind of take on it is I don't feel that way. I feel, everything I've read and learned, I'm more on the alcohol use disorder kind of spectrum of things. And, I just feel that it held me back, right? Mm-hmm. The word held me back. It can empower you. You can call me that. I don't care if somebody calls me that, whatever, that's fine. I'm not going to call myself that. Because, I feel like the word has just this stigma on it. And I know some people, I've posted things in the past where some people's like, well, we need to embrace it and make it not be, have the stigma anymore. And I'm kind of in my mind thinking like that ship has sailed. I'm sorry.
Right.
In the general, I'm talking in the general population, mindset, society's mindset, mm-hmm. like that term is kind of sealed in, locked mm-hmm. in. So I kind of just say, I'm not an alcoholic. I had a problem with alcohol and, I worked on it and I'm alcohol free now, or, whatever. I'm the sober ginger. You can call me what you want.
What you just said, I'm alcohol free now. What I like about it, and again, I'm not here to, I'm going to tick people off regardless of what I say on it. But
oh yeah. And I do the same thing.
Yeah. The alcohol free now, what alcoholic has a red light connotation to it. It means I have to stop. Alcohol free now to me is a green light. And it's like, now I'm alcohol free now, which tells me I can now, or that's a way to live and go forward, versus alcoholic says I have to stop. I don't know if that means, but to me, I want my life to be a green light. I want to live. I don't want to live my life in a world of it's all about stopping. I don't know the exact words because I had to stop drinking. I did. I have to stop drinking. That is the case. But I'm now ready to give my life a green light, alcohol free.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
exactly. I like that. And really too, like to go back just a little bit, like whenever I stopped and in that 60 days where I didn't drink, like that whole 60 days, there was day after day talking to my therapist or messaging and thinking and journaling about like, where am I going with this? Like, what am I doing?
Right. What's my future?
Because it was all like, I know I needed to stop. I know I was having problems, but when can I drink again? Like when can I moderate again? When can I be normal? And when can I, I had no off switch, but can I get a dimmer switch at least? Mm-hmm, right. And that's what I was hoping for, I think. And it took like, I went 60 days. I went to a work conference and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be good here. I'm going to have one drink this day. I skipped, or I went to the happy hour, but I didn't drink at the happy hour. And I went to dinner and I was going to have one drink and I did. And I went home and I, went to my room, or went to the hotel and went to my room, and that was it. And then the next day I was going to do the same thing. And then the next day I got into the event and it was a whiskey tasting. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Like,
yeah.
So that night I got drunk and
it's go time.
Yeah, and it's just thrown out the window. And then that weekend, I was like, oh, we got my parents this, winery tour thing for Christmas, so we were going to do that. All my brothers and sister-in-laws and my parents were going to go and do this wine tasting tour and stay overnight. So we did that, and I was like, well, I already did this, so I'm going to drink here too. And then I stopped the next week. And then
there's
there's
always,
just
Kevin, how did you do that? Because there's always an event. I've got a wedding coming up this weekend. Now it's not one of my. Oh no, I have a couple's bridal shower for one of the kids. Those are I'm going to probably have to raise a toast. So I can't quit this week. And there's always something coming up. We have my niece's wedding in Colorado later this summer. Wow, that's going to be a big party. Can't stop for that. How did you make it's done now?
So I finally got to a vacation in April, and I was like, okay, I'm going to moderate this vacation, and I did, except for 2 days of it, but the whole time, it's just a constant internal. I had two already. I was only going to have one at the beach, but I had two. That's fine. And at home, we got back, and then I had one before we went out, and then I only had one while we were out, and then I had one afterwards. So that was moderation to me at that point because I was on vacation. And it was just constant, like those games. And then I got home that weekend, and of course, I had to finish on Sunday the bottle of whiskey I had because I couldn't. What else was I going to do with it?
You got to get rid of it, otherwise you're going to be tempted to drink it.
Yeah, and of course, I was stopping on Monday because that's when you stop.
Yep.
And so I stopped on Monday. The last time I drank was April 28th, 2019. That night, watching Game of Thrones, the best Game of Thrones episode ever. I passed out in and woke up the next day, and I'm like, I had no idea where I still didn't know what I was doing. Mm-hmm. But then I kind of strung a couple days together. I didn't think I was going to make it to the weekend. And I strung a couple days together. I got to the weekend. I got through the weekend. I felt better then. My head was a little clearer. And then I just kept going. And, all I wanted to do was 61 days, like one more day than I did before. And then 2 or 3 weeks in, I'm like, you know what? I feel pretty good. Let's shoot for 90 days. And, I like having little targets, but the whole time I was done with the, when am I going to drink again? This wasn't a forever thing at this point. This was I'm just not going to drink now. Like, I'm just going to give this a go and not drink. I'm not going to worry about that. But I had, there's huge stressors and work and studying and doing different things. And it was just, it was tough, but I made it to 90 days. So then I'm like, okay, well, how about 6 months? And it just kind of snowballed from there.
One day's impossible, but also, well, that's not quitting. And forever sounds, oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's forever. Well, I can't stop forever, so those are tough. It's a tough justification. But what scares me is I'm going to go 30 days. Well, 30 days means on 31, it is party time. Because I made it. So now I'm going to reward myself. It's those head games are brutal that we do with ourselves. Yeah.
So then fast forward to, the beginning of 2020, and I think in March of that year, 1,000 Hours Dry was posting like, hey, we're looking for hosts. And back then I think it was only like two pages, maybe three. And, the main page, which is just at 1,000 Hours Dry, I reached out and asked about it, asked Adam about it. And he gave me some information. I talked to Kayla, and, they brought me on as a host in April of that year. And I've been hosting ever since, once a week.
It's at 1,000. Is that correct?
It's HOUR.
Oh,
it's spelled out. Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to, I last minute. So let me just change that, because we're so professional on this show, that we do our bookkeeping and misspell our words live on the air. Okay. Just run that across. I think that's correct.
Yes.
Okay, good enough.
And that's, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was still like the month before, I think February actually was the first time like I was sick of using my personal account and that Sober Ginger account and going back and forth and following people I knew and then doing this. I'm like, you know what? I'm doing everything over on the Sober Ginger. So that was kind of scary. I followed like my neighbors, my friends, my family. I just said, screw it. I'm following everybody on this. And it just, everything I've shared up to that point, which wasn't a ton, but it was enough, kind of scary. And then I followed everybody and I was expecting like something, and it was just like crickets. Like nobody said a word. Like people followed me back, but it's like, okay, we don't know what to say to you right now, but, but great. Good for you.
Yeah, but good for you.
So
don't get too close. I don't want to catch it, but good for you. Don't talk to my wife or my because I don't want them to hear what you're doing.
Exactly.
They're gonna get a crazy idea.
So yeah,
so what is the life? What is 1,000 Hours Drive? What is that life like?
So I mean, at its core is really, it is what it on the face, 1,000 hours dry. It is an alcohol-free challenge to go 1,000 hours without alcohol, which is essentially 42 days. It's 41.67.
Thank you for doing the math there. I was about to grab this guy underneath the table.
Yeah. So it's a 42-day challenge. So, when we do dry January, we say, it's dry January for overachievers because we go an extra 12 days or 11 days or whatever. But that's like the main premise of it. But it's really just a community for, anybody looking to, look at alcohol in their life, right? You don't have to identify as an alcoholic. You don't have to be, you can be a drinker and just be curious as to, that's the phrase, right? Sober curious. Most of our followers are probably sober curious versus alcohol free. But it's an alcohol free, challenge, and it's an alcohol-free page, so that's all we're focused on. Like we don't focus on anything else.
There are so many people for health reasons. It's sobriety, or again, whatever you want to label it, alcohol-free is becoming. I don't want to say cool because that just means it shows how old I am. But you know what I'm saying? It becomes an accepted,
trendy, a fad.
Thank you. Groovy, hip, rad.
That might be showing your age a little bit.
I know. No, you know what I'm saying. Trendy probably is the best word for it. It's accepted. Yeah.
And some people don't like that, but like some people who have fought tooth and nail for their, for their sobriety, like some people don't like that. And that's not, to me, like there's nothing not to like. Like why does somebody else have to get to where I was before they stop? Yeah. Like I'm happy if somebody, that's what, I love saying, rock bottom is when you stop digging. Like you can stop digging here or you can stop digging all the way down here. It doesn't matter to me. Just, I want people to think about how alcohol shows up in their life. And whether they keep drinking, that's fine. Like, cause statistic, if you quit drinking for 30 days, then you're 72% more mindful of your drinking for the next 6 months. So, I mean, that sticks with you. Being able to do that, if you take it seriously and you don't just wait for day 31 to get plowed. But, it's 1,000 Hours Dry is support, it's information. It's tools, tips, tricks, stories, milestones. It's just, we had, I don't have a number right now, but we probably have in the neighborhood of 50 to 60 hosts. We could have had up to 70 at one point, I think. We have, I think, 10 pages total. And so there's something for everyone, and we're trying to be as inclusive as possible. And we have we have the main page, which is 1,000 Hours Dry, but we also have 1,000 Hours Dry BIPOC, LGBTQIA, military is a new one, Babes, Stag. We have some location pages, Canada, UK, Cali.
Wow, that's great.
Parents. I always miss one. I think that's good for now. I apologize to whichever one I missed if I did.
Well, as long as we can find them at 1,000 Hours Dry, if we can go to that, and that's is there a Facebook or a web page for this as well?
There is a Facebook page. It just basically gets the Instagram feed, and there, So, and we are partnered with the Reframe app now. So Reframe is so our founder Kayla Lyons kind of partnered with Reframe whenever they started coming onto the scene and started their app. So we had
our web pages, and for all this, I will list all those out. I know we got the scrolling, but that's the best I can do right now. So I'll have all those links and whatnot, and any of your contact info. So is this more of a support in addition to a recovery program, or is this can this be all inclusive?
I think it can be all inclusive with I think it has to be with something else, right? Nothing is like, you can't just do AA. Like I can't just do therapy. I think you need to find that mix of that recipe that works for you and use it. Yeah. So somebody might resonate with this, alcohol-free lifestyle. And, we look at, we provide alcohol-free beverages on our page and share, that kind of stuff. And I think promoting everything alcohol-free helps get it into people's mind that, there are other options out there. There are other ways to do this besides the way we've always done it. And that's just drink alcohol at every event.
I'd rather have 1,000 options and find the 20 that work best for me, than to just say, well, no, you have to only do this one plan. I'm not going to stick with it with one plan. I'm going to get burnout. I'm going to get stagnant. Sobriety stagnation is such a huge one that I hear that a lot. I'm tired of the same. I'm tired of it. And you can't. I'll go crazy that way. I have to find new stuff, and always looking to throw out the old out of my toolkit, or whatever you want to call it. Throw out what has worn its welcome, I don't use anymore, and keep what is and add new to it. It's a constant replenish.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because we've had people who have started the challenge like, oh, you know what? I really haven't had, alcohol has been just creeping in my life, and I've been drinking way too much, and you know what? I'm going to do this. And they do the challenge. And then next year, we see posts like, I started, doing the 1,000 Hours Dry challenge, and I'm still going because that just got me so motivated to, keep going with it. And I felt so good from cutting alcohol out of my life. And, you hear those stories all the time. And it's not that they're just looking at the 1,000 Hours Dry posts. I mean, that's not a program, right? That's just information. That's support. We're there if anybody needs to, if you see something that we post and you want to comment on it, you want to DM us if you have questions, if you need help, if you're looking for resources, our hosts are there every day. And, we are there to answer your questions, and we share, and that's the thing I like about it too, is it's different perspectives, right? I mean, we have those 50, 60, 70, 80 people. We probably have 100 to 150 people. I'm making numbers up now, but that have kind of rolled through as hosts, and all those different perspectives are, I feel, just huge versus, nobody wants to, if you look at my page and you don't like my page, well then, that's going to get old real quick. So why even bother coming back versus, okay, you might not like me as a host on Saturdays on 1,000 Hours, but every other day you love, well, guess what? There's 6 other days there that you can get info.
What I really I like about it is, and again, I'm an AAer. I was on a meeting this morning. It's part of my routine, but AA is almost when you're done. I would love a program like this for maybe my kids that might have my disposition, my situation. I don't know, but maybe something where they don't want to hit that point. They see that maybe, you know what, there's some. I'd like to explore this Kevin. You know, this Kevin guy's got a smile on his face. He looks like he's enjoying life, and he's alcohol free. Maybe there's something to that. So I would love. I like about this is people can explore it without having to commit to, hi, my name is Jeff and I'm an alcoholic. Yeah. You know, they can add this. They don't have to settle for this in their life. They can add this to their life. And you know, before they get to that bottom, I don't, if we can keep people from hitting the lows that I had, and man, I got off easy. There's people that hit a lot worse than I do. If we can keep people from that and just give them, hey, there's some exit ramps before you run into that wall. You can get off this highway earlier while you're still smiling if you want. Explore and see.
Yeah, and this is what your kids will like. So this is the Reframe app.
Yeah.
So I started coaching with them recently, but that's like, you know, it used to be called, well, it's Reframe, and it's neuroscience-based support, right? Mm-hmm. It has daily tasks, which you can read, you can journal, you can do log your moods, log your stress, log your cravings, so you can see trends. You know, it has a toolkit in there where, you know, every craving, or I'm sorry, the average craving is supposed to be 20 minutes long, right? That's what they say. But there's a 20-minute button. You push the button, and then you have all these tools. You can do a meditation. You can do a breathing exercise. You can play a game. You can journal. You can listen to a podcast, read a recovery story, and all these things. There's a forum in there where you can talk to other people and, you know, ask questions, answer questions. And now we have this premium feature, which is the coaching. But that, I feel, you know, I love this app because that's kind of how I got into this, right? I wasn't going to go somewhere. I wasn't going to go to a meeting or find a meeting. I wouldn't have stuck with that. I know in my heart, I wouldn't have stuck with that. Same thing if I had to go and see a therapist, and it was like once a month, and, you know, that kind of thing. And it was just in person. You know, the fact I had it in my pocket was huge for me. So that's why I love that so much.
Yeah. That you know, my thing with a recovery program, especially when you hear the term meetings or even podcasts, is when I'm driving home and I'm passing the liquor store or I'm passing my watering hole. Usually there's not an AA meeting that's starting right that moment, right next door for me to go into. I've got I'm sitting at that light and I'm looking across at my favorite beverage place. I got to make a decision right then and there. So, you know, to have a tool that I can, I'm just going to, you know what, if I'm going to drink in 10 minutes, that's fine. But let me give myself 10 minutes to just, or the 20 or the 5, whatever it is, to do some of these breathing exercises and let's give it a shot at least and see how I do with it. And maybe that'll get me through.
And that can bridge the gap if you then go to a meeting or you go on a Zoom,
it gets me home. And like I said, I get a ton out of AA, but I also get a ton out of just talking with you tonight. You know, you sparked my my strength. You know, my fuel gauge is higher than when I started this thing.
Yeah, likewise.
And it gives me something to look at with the app to go into and explore, because this battle for me is a bitch at times. It's a bitch. And I've got, you know, if I screw this up, I didn't hit the bottom. I got way too much to lose. I can't risk it. And if I can be strong with a smile on my face, enjoying myself, you know, it was, we talked about the, when you said I'll have one beer or one drink at the post party, and I had one, I went home that night. My fear is, or not my fear, but my thing is, were you living and enjoying your life at that moment, or were you you were in that white knuckle, you did
I was focused on doing that, and then I got to the hotel, and I would have normally probably they didn't have a bar, I don't think. So I probably would have bought a bottle of wine and went back to my room.
Yeah.
Because there was plenty of time left to do some work or to read or to do whatever or watch TV. So
yeah, well, when I control my drinking, I'm not enjoying myself. When I've tried to moderate, I'm not enjoying myself. And when I enjoy myself, if I'm going to enjoy myself, I sure as hell am not moderating my drinking. Yeah. I'm pounding up. So
100%'s easy, 95%'s a bitch.
Yeah. God, yeah.
I mean, that's
you
that's
give me 23
how
beers. All I know is where the hell is that 24th? How dare you do that to me?
Yeah.
You know, it's just crazy how it works. But that's why I'm just saying that and I feel very strong with my program right now. I work it. I do things like this. I read, I listen, I do journal. I'm on my second one and it's filling up. That's critical for me because it's what works for me. But I've got to keep finding solutions, and that's what what I'm hearing from you is a whole wealth of things to choose from.
Yeah, and I think people hopefully realize that because with COVID, meetings stopped, right?
Yeah.
And until Zoom got up and running, you know, I'm a member of TLC, the Luckiest Club, and you know, I go on those meetings on occasion, and yeah, I just went on last week for Kathy's meeting, and you know, I like that. I mean, that feels like an AA meeting would be to me. I think. I mean, but just without the 12 steps or anything like that, just sharing and support, and you know, I like that sometimes, and that's part of my toolbox. But I think COVID showed us that yeah, we need a little bit broader set of tools.
What, you know, one of all the knowledge in the world, the AA information, I could memorize the big book. It wasn't until I talked to another person that was in this same boat as me that I'm going through that it started to click and to work. That interaction,
yeah,
not even with my wife, because she doesn't get it. She doesn't understand why after 23 beers,
yeah.
I'm going nuts if I don't have that 24th. She has zero understanding. And I can't understand how she can have a beer and a half and walk away and say she's good. I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's just
so.
But is the community? What am I getting with the program with the 1,000-hour dry? And I know the app gives you a tool. Where's the community coming in with it?
Well, you know, for me, my community started on Instagram. Like that was where I didn't have meetings. I didn't have TLC. I didn't have AA. You know, I talked to my therapist, and then eventually I got into the Instagram community where then I could, it wasn't face-to-face talking. It was watching lives. It was commenting on other people's posts. It was sharing my own posts and having people comment on that and saying like, thanks, that really helped me today. Like that helped me because, because I was, early on too, I was always like, should I post this? Should I post this? And every time I did, like usually within the first couple of minutes or an hour, like somebody would say, oh, thanks for sharing this. And that kind of was like, I'm glad. I just needed that one person to say something to make me feel like it was worth it.
And it's scary because if no one responded, you're just hanging there.
Yeah.
And I'm seeking validation. I'm seeking community.
Yeah.
And for all those people that said, liked my post or smiled or said, me too, or whatever, thank you. Because you gave me exactly what I needed.
Yes. 100%. And that's,
and I didn't see any from you, just so you know. I've looked. I've just been, my secretary's been reviewing all mine. Zero.
All yours?
Yeah.
No? I've been looking. I've been in there.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
And but I have some of my, I'll call them my best friends in my life right now have come that are in my phone all around the world. And I message on a regular basis daily. Like that's where like some of that community comes in too. Like you just start talking, like, don't be afraid to reach out to somebody like who you kind of like, mesh with a little bit
as much as you need that as you need them.
just go and tell them, thanks for posting that. And just, that's all that, if you want to strike up a conversation, that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
And you can kind of just, talk there. But yeah, I have some of my, some of my best friends are in this community, and it's because of Instagram, as silly as that would have sounded to me a couple of years ago. And so 1,000 Hours Dry, I think, provides a place, like, with all those different pages too, it can provide support for different people who are like-minded and can reach out for questions, support, help. We get a lot of messages, a lot of direct messages, a lot of comments, and, don't hesitate to reach out to us. But we also try and, I think this week I'm starting back up my lives. I've been doing lives since last fall, every Saturday. And that was scary. Starting to do that, that's so far out of my comfort zone. It's unreal. And now it's kind of like, oh shit, I got live in 10 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Usually I'm prepared ahead of time for that, but it's kind of just gotten a little bit easier. But I love doing that because, again, it's people are like, oh, are you having a live this week? People are looking for it.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And it's just, again, talking to people, getting different viewpoints, getting just knowing we're not alone in some of this.
I think, and I'm going to let you wrap up, but what you are doing, what I'm looking for, and I'm trying to do myself, you are not surviving sobriety, you're living sobriety. And that's what, I survived sobriety for a long time, but now I'm learning how to live sobriety, and living is a hell of a lot more fun. So what are the sites, or what are the, again, what people that are looking, and I'll put them all in, and I got my lousy typing up there, but Instagram at 1,000 Hours Dry.
Yes. And then it's just, you have 1,000 Hours Dry, BIPOC, BIPOC, LGBTQIA, military. All you got to do, I'll just stop there. All you have to do is, in your search in Instagram, just search for 1,000 Hours Dry, and then they'll all be listed there.
Okay. Perfect.
And then see what you, kind of that relates to you, and you can, follow. I'm at The Sober Ginger. And also check at reframe_app.
And I will have all of those. You're going to have to remind me on the thing when we wrap up here in a second, but I'll put all those on the website. I'll put links on the website, and I'll put them on the Facebook page as well, so anyone can find you and that. So
yeah, and
awesome.
One more thing that you just said that kind of made me just think, talk about thriving and all this kind of stuff, like thriving in sobriety versus white knuckling it or anything like that. Just know, if you're listening to this now and you are white knuckling it, you are struggling, I didn't start this way, right? People don't just start and they're like, oh yeah, I can take it or leave. I don't need, I can be in the same room with it. I can do all that. I white knuckled it. I struggled. It was a constant battle for months of figuring out where I was going and what I was doing. And it just takes work, and it just takes work on yourself. So, I mean, that's all it is. It's just working on yourself and figuring out why, what triggers you, how to get through it, what works for you. Because that's the thing too.
What questions to ask myself are I didn't know what questions, how to find those answers. And that's what I like about this.
Yeah. And I have a guide Instagram guides, which isn't really a popular thing, but I have a guide in my, where my, the reels and the IGTV live is and all that. That's just kind of my top 10 posts that I like, that if you're looking to start somewhere, I have one specific post that's about, just different resources that you can go and look for and just all of that stuff. So, I mean, you can check that out. Just message me if you have questions, message you if you have questions, but just, and that's just kind of with 1,000 Hours Dry, we tell people, if you slip, if you go 10 days and you drink, that's not a relapse. You slipped. That's kind of our terminology, because you're so new to it that you are still in those old behaviors, so you're still figuring it out. You slip, you get back up, and you fall forward, and you keep going. Like, don't stop your 1,000 hours dry challenge, 42-day challenge. We strongly encourage people to do that, because and some people don't like that, because like, oh, you should reset your days. If you don't want to reset your days, don't reset your days. But keep going, because for me, that's what I needed to hear. Like, in that October 5th, I needed to hear, keep going. You're fine. Like, you still got this. Like, okay, you had one little slip, just keep going. You still have the whole month of October to do Sober October. So, I mean, that's just another thing that probably a little bigger to throw in at the end, but
no, it's a great point. Because the analogy, you're driving cross country and you get a flat tire, you stop and you fix the tire, you get right back going where you don't go back and start over again.
Yeah.
You're in Montana, you fix the tire, and then you continue on your journey. You didn't lose that mileage to get there. So, but and this is another topic, but what scares me with the relapse thing, because if you give me, I don't care about anyone else, but you give me a green light that relapses are okay, and I'm going to say, oh, cool, because we got a big game coming up this weekend, and it scares me for me. I just see, I fear people misusing that at times. Not that everyone does.
Yeah, and I again, like, relapse and slip are two different things. Like, a relapse is like, you've been thinking, like, it's something that's been on your mind and you've been thinking about and you've been struggling with, and you start slipping back into old behaviors, and you let yourself get to the point where it happens because you didn't stop it from happening, right?
Which was mine a year ago at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I chose
you knew it was coming. Yeah, you knew it was coming. You didn't prevent it. You didn't do the things that you knew you should have done.
I knew the weekend it was coming. She was out of town.
Oh,
I scheduled it practically. I didn't realize it till later, but hell yeah, I had it scheduled in my mind.
I almost did that. And so what I did was I told my therapist and I told my wife, because my wife was going out of town in 2019 at New Year's, and I was going to be by myself. And I'm like, I just need to turn my brain off one night. I need to turn it off. Like, it's just always on. And that was a struggle for me at the time. And I told my therapist, I'm like, so I'm thinking about maybe drinking whenever Andrew's away. And I told her, and obviously, by telling them, I wasn't looking for permission. I was telling them so that they would know, and I know they know. She still left. Yeah. I still could have drank. I actually ended up dumping something that we had left from visitors coming over. I dumped that out the night she was gone, because I was like, it was staring at me. But I was going down that road of relapse, versus if I was solid and everything, and I just happened to walk past and I saw this bottle that was there from one of my relatives that left it there. And, I just, without thinking, just picked it up and took it. Like, that's kind of how I see a slip. I don't consider that a relapse, because that's just like a immediate thing. You didn't even have time to think about what your tools were at that point in time.
Great point.
What's the point of making the distinction? I just feel like, people, there's the shame and everything that gets put on whenever you do drink. And I just think, it's a drug. I mean, it's a carcinogen. It's a cancer causing substance. It's a drug that, gets into our brain and has all these pathways in our brain that make us do certain things until we can, kind of get enough, time, alcohol-free time and work behind us to make better pathways in our brain.
You've gone way too long, and I apologize.
Yeah, sorry.
No. This is on me, but I got to ask you one more.
Okay.
With that night that you needed to check out, or whatever you said, why did you need? Because I'm asking for me. Why did you need to check out? Why do we have that need to check out?
I feel like, because I still remembered, I quit in the end of April. And so I was like 7 or 8 months without alcohol at that point. And I just felt like the stress of the holidays was a big thing. And getting through, I remember getting through some holiday parties, and, it was like 2 days in a row. And I wanted to sleep for like 3 days afterwards because it just took so much out of me to get through those. And it wasn't a big deal while I was there, but it was funny. Like afterwards, I was like, wow, that really just totally drained me to deal with that. And I didn't even realize it. But, I kind of got to the point where like, it was like, my mind is so clear and I love it, but my mind is always on. And I kind of just wanted it to turn off for a night. And it was, I'll just make up a date. It was like December 12th. It was a couple weeks out, I remember. And I'm like, you know what? You're going to your mom's that weekend or that night, those 2 nights. And I'm like, that's a perfect time for me to shut my brain off for a night. But I also knew that, and again, I could have just not said anything. I could have just kept going along. Right. And had I drank that night, that would have been a relapse. Yeah. But I didn't. And tell somebody, even if you don't know me and you message me on Instagram, you're like, let's talk. Like, just, because I've done that before too. Like one of my best friends now, like I just messaged her shortly after that time. I had another time where I was just like, I really want to drink right now. I actually had issue with my back. That was a big trigger for me. And I really want to drink right now. I just messaged her. I'm like, hey, what's up? What are you doing? And we just talked about anything else. We just talked about something. And it wasn't even about the fact I wanted to drink, but just making that connection and just talking to somebody in that moment was all I needed. And it got me through. So little things like that.
I was actually up in Cleveland for work, and I had 2 nights. It was the first time after my Super Bowl debacle, my relapse, and I had 2 nights in Cleveland. Okay. And I had I knew that if I waited till I was at that hotel room staring across at the mini mart with a flashing Bud Light sign, it would have been too late. And before I got up there, I called a buddy who also was in AA, and I said, I'll be in town Monday night and Tuesday night. What are we doing Monday? And what are we doing Tuesday? And I did it while I was strong ahead of time, because I never would have called him up in that room. It was too late. So Kevin, you got to come back. God, I could talk to you all night long. Thank you so much. We'll get all your stuff up. Stay on. And but thanks so much for being here. We'll get all the links. And any closing comments?
No, thanks for having me. This has been great. Yeah, same. I could talk here about this stuff for hours. No, I mean, just do what works for you. Like, find what works for you, because I know it's easy to say and it's hard to do, because, I still don't know what works for me 100% of the time. Like, I still figure that out. Like you said, you always look at the tools you're using, and do I need this one anymore? No, throw it away. Like, maybe you can pick it back up again later, but just, find what works for you. Again, follow, different hashtags, sobriety, sober, alcohol free on Instagram. And, if you're into that, and that just by going into a hashtag, which you can ask me if you don't know what that is. But, you see all these people posting about this, and then you can usually find like, oh, this looks interesting. Like, and you can just go down a rabbit hole and find people, information, and all that. And that's kind of how I started building, my connections and people.
I may not have the answers for you, but the answers for you, and I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to you in general, are out there. You got it. They're there. You just got to find them. All right. Thanks so much. We will be back on, but great talking to you. Hang on there, and everyone have a great night, and keep talking to each other. That's how we do it. See you guys.